Hello everyone and welcome back to What the Folk. Today we're moving into the month of July and so we're moving into a new topic. Today we're going to be talking about fairies. Fairies are a very wide topic. There are so many different kinds and varieties and so it's kind of hard for me to pick out one single subject to talk on. But there are one or two stories that kind of popped up that kind of reminded me of stories that I had heard when I was younger. And so kind of stuck with me and I'd like to share them today. A story that I did find was one of Rhys and Llewellyn, two men who ran afoul of a fairy circle. Fairy circles can be a number of things. More traditionally they're a circle of red mushrooms, or they can be a circle of any regular mushrooms, any variety of mushroom, or even just discoloured grass. And they come about where fairies dance, where they frolic and play the music, and sometimes they capture humans. This is what happened to Rhys. As Rhys and Llewellyn were walking home, Rhys exclaimed that he could hear the music. He could hear the music of the Fae, he could hear the pipes, he could hear the harps. It was a song that he had danced to 100 times before and he would not hesitate to dance to again. And so he bade farewell to Llewellyn and said, I'm going to join the dance, I'll see you on the morrow. And before Llewellyn could object, he was away, and with no other choice Llewellyn went home and he slept, and on the morrow he could not find Rhys. A few days passed, there were no signs, and then a few weeks, and then a few months. Rhys had not returned, and everyone started to suspect that Llewellyn maybe had a hand in it. Maybe he had murdered and done away with his friend for whatever reason, and Llewellyn was arrested for this crime. That is until a local farmer kind of heard this story, and he was well versed in fairy lore, and he thought that maybe there was something to the story. So he gathered up a committee and they got Llewellyn and they revisited the space where Rhys had disappeared. After a short while of searching around, Llewellyn kind of exclaimed that he too could hear the music. He could hear the pipes and the harps, and it was almost as if they were calling him to dance as well. And none of the other committee could hear this music. They were a bit suspect, they didn't know what was going on. So Llewellyn called to one of them, he said, "Put your foot on mine." And so one of them did, and then, sure enough, he could hear the music as well. And in turn, each of them did put their foot on top of Llewellyn's, and they heard the music, sure enough. And it turned out that they were standing on the edge of a fairy circle. After a few more moments of hearing the music, they did see the fairies as well, dancing around and around in circles, and then, sure enough, among them, there was also Rhys, who had been dancing there for months on end, and still with a look of gaiety and jovialness, dancing quite happily. Llewellyn called out to his friends to stop dancing, to come back, to come home. Rhys objected. He said, "No, I've just got here, I've been dancing for but 5 minutes." Llewellyn objected. He said, "You have been gone for months. Thanks to your games, I've almost been hanged." And he grabbed hold of his friend Rhys and pulled him away from the circle forcefully. And still Rhys objected, saying that he wanted to go back and dance more with the fair folk. But the committee took him home, and it said that Rhys, after this experience, was never the same again. And, well, for what short time he existed, for he died shortly after. Possibly just the toll it took on his body to dance for months on end with no food and no water, or perhaps taken by the sadness that he experienced such wonders of dancing with the fair folk and not being able to return. Unfortunately, this is kind of a trend in stories of those who are trapped in fairy circles with the Fae and then returning to the human world die shortly after. Sometimes a lot more violently, but it's kind of a cautionary tale to be wary of fairy circles, and even to this day it's considered bad luck to walk through them. Maybe not in the sense that you'll be whisked away to dance an endless dance with the Fae, but more in the sense that you would not want a black cat to cross your path or to break a mirror. And so there we have it, the story of Rhys and Llewellyn, two men whose lives were inexplicably changed by a chance meeting with a fairy circle, and possibly a cautionary tale not to go out dancing all night, or maybe a cautionary tale not to interfere with the fairies, who will take you away to dance for but a few minutes, not realising that in the human world months or years may have passed. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks' time for another story on the Fae. Goodbye.